afternoon, everyone. I am Pooja Das, the chair of the IIT Bombay ACM Seckai Student Chapter, and it's great to see you all here at the 63rd ACM Seckai Chapter event, the 2024 Student Award Winners Meet. Now, first of all, let's be honest for a second. What made you show up today? Was it our strategically timed WhatsApp reminders? The webmail notifications, well, which, let's face it, you were never going to open until the last minute. Or perhaps it was the alluring offer of snacks at the end. Or maybe, just maybe, you're here because you're curious. Beyond simply turning in your work, you would like to understand what it takes to create something truly remarkable. Today's speakers, IDC's award-winning graduates from the class of 2024, have done exactly that. They have pushed past the edges of design, tackled complex research problems, and produced work that is both innovative and practical. They didn't just attend IDC, they made sure to leave a mark. Our speakers for the day are Ishita Sharma from the BDes degree program, who won the Institute Silver Medal, Saloni Shetty from the BDes and MDes dual degree program, who also won the Institute Silver Medal, Rajesh K from the MDes degree program, who unfortunately would be unable to join us today, who won the Institute Silver Medal and the Suhas Kakre Top Graduating Product Designer Prize. Next we have Pratiti Sarkar from the PhD degree program, who won the Naik and Rastogi Award for Excellence in PhD Research. Then we have Karan Rajesh Kumar Tanna from MDes degree program, who won the Professor Uday Atwankar's People Centricity in Design Award. And lastly, we have Banasmita Das from MDes Design degree program, who also won the Suhas Kakre Top Graduating Graphic Designer Prize. But unfortunately, she won't be able to join us today. But today isn't just about the awards these people have won. It's also about the work that got them here. What did they research? What problems did they aim to solve? What went right? And more importantly, what went wrong? How did they fix it? And what did they learn from all of this? But before I pass on the mic, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the people who made today's event possible. Our faculty advisor, Professor Aniruddha Joshi sir, without whom this event, this chapter in itself simply wouldn't exist. IDC School of Design, IIT Bombay and ACM for their continued support. My fellow Seckai chapter officers, Samiksha, Krishna, and especially Abhishek, I know you're waiting for this, who pulled this event together from scratch. And of course, the IDC support team, Simon, our GSEC, Sharat, Karthik, Sai, and Akash, for all their help behind the scenes. With that, I guess let's get started now. To introduce our speakers in more detail, I'd like to invite Krishna Ahit to take over.
It is my privilege to introduce each one of our awardees who will be sharing their journeys, experiences, and incredible work with us today. Let's dive right in. Let's start with Ishita Sharma, an interaction designer at DE Shaw, based in Hyderabad. Ishita joined IDC in 2020 for a bachelor's degree. While initially interested in product design, she discovered a passion for interaction design, specifically user research. During her final semester, she wrote 3 research papers, 2 on usable security and graphical passwords, and 1 on the effects of labels on perception. She presented these papers at conferences like India HCI and IDID. Outside her work, Ishita enjoys basketball, swimming, and cooking. Next, we have Saloni Shetty, a dual degree graduate specializing in interaction design. She earned the Institute Silver Medal in 2024 and is a two-time winner of Institute Academic Award. During her time at IIT Bombay, she was actively involved in Insight and the IDC Department Council. Her research on the reliability of Marathi synthetic speech was recently presented at India HCI conference. Saloni currently works as a UX researcher at Google in the ads team. Her journey is truly an inspiration, and I'm sure we will learn a lot from her today. Then we have Dr. Pratiti Sarkar, who holds a PhD in interaction design. Her expertise spans user research, user experience design, augmented and virtual reality, and human-computer interaction. She has contributed to several publications and led workshops and training sessions in these areas. In recognition of her outstanding research, Pratiti has received the prestigious Nayak and Rastogi Award for Excellence in PhD Research. After earning her PhD in 2022, she took on her current role as Product Design Manager at Paytm, where she leads innovative design projects. Next we have Karan Rajesh Kumar Khanna, a Senior Experience Designer at LTI Mindtree. He is passionate about accessible and inclusive design. He has worked to enhance and transform services and digital platforms for major clients like Toyota, Honda, and Lucid Motors. Karan holds an MDes in Interaction Design from 2022 to 2024 batch of IDC, a bachelor's degree in architecture from CEPT University, and has also been an exchange scholar at Bezalel Academy in Israel. Additionally, he completed a diploma in rapid prototyping from Fab Academy, taught by MIT Media Labs. In recognition of his exceptional focus, Karan received the prestigious Professor Uday Atwankar People Centricity in Design Awards. That concludes our introductions for today.
I don't know.
We are in for a treat, so without further ado, let's hear from them and dive into the inspiring work.
Adi.
Isha, and she's also my best friend, that every time I would see her working hard, I would also be inspired to work hard. And we had this thing where whenever we had a theoretical exam, I used to stay up and try to study or cram whatever the information would be, and I would complete it and then I would fall asleep. For Amisha, she would wake up in the middle of the night, study a little bit, fall asleep, and then do the entire cycle over again. It was like watching this zombie in action. But this kind of showed me how dedicated she was towards learning and also pushed me to work harder. So it was kind of a cycle of two people pushing each other to really experiment new things, grow together and learn new things. So if not an entire circle of zombie friends or zombie roommates, have at least one person within IDC who does push you to want to try new things and want to work harder. Alright, coming to second year. So one important aspect of IDC is the studios, is all that they have to offer. Within IDC, you have the freedom to experiment, to visit any labs, and to do whatever you want. You can go into the wood studio and just start carving something, and no one is going to say, no, you can't do that. So if you have an interest in something, please do experiment, please do try it out. And the best part is, you can do whatever you want. In my second year, we had a course in which we made a serpentine dagger, as you can see on the right. That was the acrylic prototype, and then we also created one out of metal, where we buffed the entire metal, we did the laser cutting. Yes. And we created the wooden handle, we made the wire, and basically an entire really cool dagger, and we ate grapes with it. So in a sense, just try everything that IDC has to offer before you make a choice of your career. And what it does help with is that you will end up finding out what you truly like. It's not just a instant decision you're making in your third year right before you start making your portfolios. It's something that you're trying out, you're consciously making a very informed decision. So second year and first year is all about exploring. Please do not skip out on this. I know it's super, you really want to just have fun in your first and second year, but really experiment a lot. Okay, coming to third year, a very special course that we had with HSO was called User Studies.
And it was one of the first introductions that we had to interaction design. And it was completely fueled by Red Bull, Sting, and coffee. Extremely, extremely hectic. But it offers you everything that you have to learn about user research, or in fact, just an introduction to it. But I think why this course is important is that you will either know that you like interaction design, or you will know that you don't. So really just take it, it's totally worth it, and you will get an idea of what user research is. And it's not just regarding interaction design, but you also learn how to conduct this user research before any project that you take up in visual communication or filmmaking or animation or any of other the subjects that we have to offer. Coming to third year, making your portfolios. So clearly this is an extremely hectic time, but please tell me you guys have been documenting whatever you have been doing. Because oftentimes what happens is you reach third year and you realize you have no idea what you did in your first year and you don't know what to put inside your portfolio. So the thing is, when you do a certain project in your first or second year, the memory is extremely fresh. You know what was hard, you know what was easy, you know the challenges you faced, the roadblocks that you had, you know exactly what you were feeling while you were doing that project. And it's very important to document that. So even if you don't write it, vlog it, or just capture pictures and videos, because it will help out in the documentation of your portfolio, and it will ease up the portfolio panic that comes up in your third year and reduce the amount of time you take away from your classes to make this certain portfolio. And again, companies don't really look at how cool your portfolio is. They just look if it's well documented, if you know what you're doing, if it's not just a bunch of chat GPT prompts that you've thrown together to create a document with a bunch of lingo from UX. They really want to see the entire design process that you went through, what your learnings were. More than the learnings, they want to see what you failed at and what you think you can do better next time. And that's something that you can document in your portfolio. Make it visual, make it interesting, make it you. And then after third year, you have your corporate internships. Since I was interested in interaction design, I did go for a UI UX internship at DE Shaw, where I work today. And it was extremely hectic. And obviously, in the internship season, you have a bunch of rounds of interviews, and that is extremely daunting because I don't think you've done this before, unless you take an internship in second year. But you wake up at 5 a.m., you go for these interviews, you're whiteboarding, you're in this extremely high stressful environment, and then if you don't get a day one placement or day one internship, again, you're even more stressed out. So you keep sitting for more and more corporate placements. But seriously, it's not that serious. Please relax. There's so much more time that you have. You can do internships within IDC. You can do internships outside of the internship cell. You can just take a relaxing year. It's not that serious. But anyway, I did get an internship, so I ended up going to DShaw, and it was very, very hectic. But it was an insane learning experience. Imagine an entire end-to-end project crammed into 2 months, and the speed at which they expect you to be able to learn and grasp, it's surreal. But when you're at the end of it, it's like you've suddenly reached from a level over here to a level over here. Because now you know how corporates function, you know how you can increase or improve your communication, how you talk between different teams, or you communicate cross-functionally, and it's a really good experience overall. For me, it was really hectic, but for a lot of other companies, it really isn't. It just depends from company to company. So a lot of my friends had very chill internships, and yeah, at least I ended up becoming an auto layout pro. But I would say that if you're interested in interaction design, or if you're interested in any particular stream, please do take an internship in your third year and try to see what that environment is like. Because again, everything that you try in your college years, it's just you building up towards what you actually want to do in your career. And even if you figure out that this is not something that you want to do, it's completely okay, because you have one more year to figure out what you want. So internships are very crucial in that sense. I can say that follow your passion, do whatever you want, but that's not me being completely honest. The allure of money is very real. So when you do corporate internships and you get that paycheck, it kind of affects you a little bit. You do want it. Once I came back from the internship, I was not very interested in doing something very mechanical again. So I did take up a project under Ravi sir and Ajanta ma'am, which was designing learning applications for children with autism and ADHD. And the project was a very complete, different experience from the internship, because this is something where you're going, you're talking to students, you're observing them. In fact, not just observing, you're hanging out with them, you're seeing how they learn, you're seeing how they see the world. And I don't think spending even a month with them can be enough to understand what they go through or what problems they face. But it's a step towards understanding or empathizing with people who face certain learning problems. And we spoke to their teachers, we spoke to their parents, and we try to not solve but support certain aspects of their life, hopefully. And it was a very different experience. It was great. It was everything user research should be. And so yeah, I think that was another experience that I just added to my checklist of everything I want to do before I leave IIT Bombay. And yeah, it was rewarding. Yes, I actually did hate myself. So I did 2 research projects in one semester, in my last semester at IIT Bombay. So in my second last semester here, I took up a quant course with AJ sir and Girish sir. And that's an MDes course, again, quite hectic, but it teaches you a lot of different quantitative analyses that you don't know in your bachelor's degree. And it's a very different type of information that you get. And again, just so you have this information before you leave IIT Bombay, that's why I took it up. And it was great, and the reason it was so great is that you learn something and you immediately apply it. That is also the beauty of IDC. And so I thought, if I have already learned something over here, why not apply this in my next semester, in my P2 and my DRS? So my DRS was regarding the evaluation of the effect of shuffling pass spaces, celebrity pass spaces. And we had 100 students, who some of you might be here, who participated in that study. And four recall sessions. And yeah, the entire user research spanned across a month. And I held a total of 500 sessions, which is a lot if you think about it. And the other research was regarding adding dimensions to Android pattern locks to increase their security without decreasing their usability and memorability. Again, with emergent users, 36 emergent users, and a total of 144 sessions. So when I say sessions, it means every time you go and talk to someone, you conduct the user testing, you gather information regarding it, which means the last semester was extremely hectic to gather this data first. And then you have to conduct the analysis, which is, again, learning new softwares. I learned SPSS to be able to calculate all of these models, to be able to get the final data out, and which was considerably easy, honestly, because the real tough part is right after that, when you have to write the paper. That's when Saloni and I spent our entire semester in AJ Sir's cabin, just trying to figure out how to express what we're thinking in eloquent words and sentences. And I think Excel was my best friend during that period, and AJ Sir was on my speed dial. And I don't think I have frustrated anyone more than him in my tenure at IDC. And but again, the reason I did research projects was that you have to try something before you figure out exactly what you want. If I hadn't done the research projects, I wouldn't know if I truly love user research, if I want to work in corporate, if I want to go ahead and do an MDes maybe someday, if I want to do a PhD. So all of these things kind of contribute to who you become before you graduate and who you want to be right after, as well as who you want to be maybe 5 years after you graduate. So the beauty of IDC is that they will let you experiment and take up whatever you want to do. So please keep experimenting, keep trying out different things over here. Yeah, and the research papers, they were presented at India HCI and IDID this year, and that was an extremely rewarding experience. And yeah, they will be published very soon. And coming to today, now I work at DE Shaw full time. I accepted a PPO from them, and it's not as hectic anymore. It's actually super great. And working on a lot of projects completely from start to finish, and you have complete ownership over them, which means that there's no one else who's kind of butting you in with your design decisions. But one very important thing that you do learn in corporate is how to defend your design. Over here, I don't think anyone took it extremely seriously to understand why each design decision is made, but that's a very important aspect that you have to remember in every project. Just figure out why you're making a certain design decision and explain it to yourself. Why do you think it's right? And it should also resonate with someone else? Why does this decision make sense? So yeah, the perks are also great. We have an air hockey table, we have a badminton court, we have a basketball court. Food is great. I just came from the annual party, so I'm pretty sleepy. But it's a great experience now. So I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't come to IDC. I wouldn't know what I want to do today if I hadn't come to IDC. And just keep experimenting, just keep trying. You have a lot of time to know who you are, and even if you don't figure it out, it's completely okay. You have all the time in the world. Open to questions. If you guys have any questions about any course, about any professor, about any event at IDC, about corporate, you can totally go ahead.
You mentioned course, MDes course which you did.
Mm-hmm.
Can you repeat the course code?
I was quantitative research methods. I don't remember the course code. Sorry. Aegis sir and Girish sir take it.
How do you prepare for your interview?
Like internship and placement interviews. I think you just have to keep giving more interviews to be prepared for it. But I think Google has a very nice repository of preparing for UX interviews. You can definitely go through that. You can watch videos on YouTube. Kind of just talk to your friends and try to have mock interviews before that, or even with your seniors. I think a lot of my friends, they used to have mock sessions with their seniors, and they would kind of grill you to the point of crying just to ensure that you will be fine during the day of the interview.
Do you like wood carving?
I have actually not done wood carving. I have done metal buffing, metal laser cutting, and acrylic buffing. I've done glass blowing. Yeah. Oh, there was a workshop that happened at IDC. It's great. You'll have a workshop week, I think. Right? Yeah. But a lot of my friends have done a lot of cool stuff. I wasn't super into the studios, but a lot of other people were. You can totally reach out to any of them. Anything else?
So you wrote 3 papers, right? So your work was probably ready to some point when you presented it at IDC, and then taking it to the level of publishing there's a gap. I don't know how much it was for you. Was there a gap? How you take it?
So within IDC, I think we end our project when we are done making a report of it, and we have a specific format that we stick to. So what I tried to do was that make that report in the format of the paper itself. So that kind of decreased the work that I would have to put in for the paper writing. But when you're writing a paper, you end up using different tools like Overleaf and getting accustomed to that, and then inputting all the text that you have, and maybe just reworking it a little bit to fit the context of whatever you're presenting, and refine all the writing as well as the research. So that does take up a lot of time. But if you have a report that's in the state or towards what a paper would actually look like, then that makes the work much easier. With 3 research papers, it was just a lot of scheduling and a lot of planning. Whenever you have to do a lot of user testing with a lot of users, you just end up using Excel to track what date you have to go and meet a certain user. So I would make a list of who all I have to meet that day, who all I have to contact, which session they're sitting for, how much they have to be compensated, and all of those details accordingly. So a lot of planning goes into it, and it can totally be done, just a lot of planning. Yeah.
What is a research project like?
It's so you build a hypothesis, or you think of a hypothesis, or you can take up someone's research ahead. But let's say you're starting from scratch. You think of hypothesis, something that you want to test out. You build a theory around it, and then you start building. For me, I built a prototype on which I did the testing. And sometimes if you have to compare 2 different mechanisms or 2 different tests, then you can have 2 prototypes ready, and then you design a method for how you want to test it. And then you obviously discuss with professors, and then you can take it to the field. You do a bunch of initial pilot testing to figure out if your method works or not. If it does not work out, you again refine it. Otherwise, yeah, you go ahead with the proper testing with all the users. Then you start analyzing the research, seeing what the data is giving you, understanding what that implies, and then building the results out of it, and then working on how to eloquently present that or put it into words. But you can take up a course for it at IDC. A lot of PhD students also help you in research paper writing or understanding methods of research. I think Malay had helped a lot initially when I was writing my paper, and Pallavi ma'am as well. They have a lot of experience, so they really tell you how you can think about how you should put certain things into words, how you should express what you're trying to say. So yeah, approach your seniors, approach master's students, approach PhD students. Everyone has a lot of information to offer. You just have to try to seek it.
Yeah. How much time did you allocate for writing the paper? If like I have a deadline for a conference, how many days prior should I start?
Okay, so the conference, we had to submit the paper for the conference in May, June,
August?
no, before August. For India, I think it was around May or June. So around that time, and I had left IDC around April, and convocation is in August. So after I left IDC, I had the initial report that we submit for that project, but I didn't have a paper written, right? So I had to start using Overleaf right after I left IDC, and I kept writing till the paper submission. So I think even AJ sir wasn't available for a while, he was going out somewhere. So we had to schedule that accordingly, but then there's a certain amount of time you have to put in, because the way you keep refining that paper, it goes to 2 or 3 cycles of refinement. So yeah, definitely set a lot of time aside. A month or 2, yeah. Plus, if you like write a paper in your, for me I was in bachelor's, right? So if I wrote in my 4th year, and then I had corporate starting about 3 months later. So I can't juggle it with corporate, because you will end up not giving it enough time, and then that paper becomes something that's just half written and left. So it's really kind of good to get it done with during college itself, or at a max maybe a month after it. Yes?
As you might know, there are like a lot of varied opinions on UX in IDC, right? A lot of people have very strong opinions. Like a lot of people don't like to use the term UX. So what is the reply? What is your reply to people who label you as corporate?
Honestly, there is no reply to that. If you're corporate, you're corporate. There's nothing wrong in trying to have some money. I mean, you can be in corporate, leave corporate, and then become a great designer who inspires others, or you can do it while being in corporate, or you can leave it, become a great researcher, and build something that the world uses, or just become a great professor. It doesn't matter. At some point, if you want to do corporate, just own the label. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing wrong with wanting money. It's okay. Yes.
Did you think about pursuing MS?
Yes, definitely. I loved research paper writing. So I do want to write more papers, and I do want to pursue an MDes. But I wanted to get in some job experience before that. Maybe be able to afford my own masters, so which is why I joined the job. And I'll work till I can save enough to probably afford my own masters.
Are you planning to take over your research?
I think so with IDC what happens is, as soon as you graduate and you've written any research papers, it becomes a part of the repository of what work has already been done. So for me, in my DRS, I took forward Zuha's work, who was a year or 2 senior to me in MDes. And now students currently in IDC, I think Harsh and a couple of interns who joined AJ Sir, they also took forward the research that I had done. So if I don't have the time to do it, it obviously passes on to the next of the batches, and they do take it forward, and there's a lot of stuff that they're doing. So if you have the interest, you can definitely approach AJ Sir, and he has a repository of things you can do it. And not just AJ Sir, all the professors. Yeah. Anything else?
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ishita. Next, I would like to call Saloni Shetty to come up on the stage.
Just a second. Well, thank you so much for the introduction and thank you all for coming. I am Saloni. I am from the 2019 batch and I converted to dual degree in my third year. And firstly, I want to thank IDC and AJ sir for hosting this event and inviting us and giving us an opportunity to come back and connect with you all. And honestly, a large part of my time here at IDC was spent figuring things out. And I mean, you know, what kind of designer I want to be, what are the things I like within design, and what kind of direction I want to take. And honestly, design can be especially tricky to navigate, especially when you're in college, because there's no single path to follow. So today I want to share my thoughts about finding your way at IDC, just some of my recent reflections on figuring things out. And I'd like to share a few things that I tried that helped me find some clarity during my time at IDC. And if you're still figuring things out, that's totally okay. That's what being a student at IDC is all about. And I hope my experiences sort of help you make the most of your time at IDC and leave you with a bit more clarity on your own path in design. So the first thing that helped me eventually figure out what I wanted to do in IDC and later was getting a feel of doing a little bit of everything. Like when you really get into something, you quickly realize how much there is to that field and how little you know about it. But if there's something that, you know, ignites a spark and you think, wow, there's a lot to explore in this field, and Ishita also spoke about this, trying a bit of everything, I think that really gives you a feel of things and then you can choose what you really like. So at IDC, it's all about having an open mind and exploring as much as you can. It is a rigorous environment and there's plenty of uncertainty, but if you don't do it, then you will never really know for sure. So again, I did that by taking many different kinds of electives at IDC. There was a period when I was really into visual design a lot, and then around my third year, I also tried digital design and like the user experience side of things. But later I did realize that I really enjoy research and working closely with people, and really that initial research part of a lot of projects. And honestly, I don't see any downside to trying different things in college because it adds to your toolkit. So even if you don't go ahead with something, these basic tools or skills of good communication or storytelling, system thinking, prototyping, they always stay with you in your toolkit and they'll be with you no matter what, in whatever you try later. So just an example was that in my second year summer, I tried to do research. I wanted to know what research is all about. And I worked with one of our seniors, Advait Bhatt. He's from the 2016 batch. And we did research on predictive text with him. And in some ways that sort of made me realize what research is all about. And eventually I did my own research in my final year. And it was of a different nature, but again, like, I tried something out in my second year, something else happened in fifth year. So I would encourage you all to try things out. The second thing that helped me navigate my time at IDC was really being intentional about each semester and really deciding how I want to learn and grow, both personally and in my work. So this includes careful decisions about what professor you want to work with, what kind of project do you want to do this semester, more structured or more exploratory. Do you want to do a POR? Do you want to go for inter-IT? Is semester exchange something you should do? There's all these things you can do. It's just a good idea to really think things through and really be intentional about what choices you make, because you can't do everything, but there is still enough time to do some work substantially. So even after each semester, I try to reflect on how things went and sort of be intentional for the next semester. So for instance, I did a POR in my third year. I wanted to have some institute level exposure. And then later I chose not to do PORs because they didn't offer enough flexibility or design-led thinking. I also decided I wanted to do internships. So I interned with CRY and I interned with Google. And additionally, one summer I had the opportunity to mentor the participants of AJ Sir's Monsoon HCI course. That was a new experience of like teaching and guiding folks. So all that being said, every semester is a fresh start. So I would encourage you to think about this semester or next semester and start being more intentional and reflective. And in figuring things out at IDC, I realized mental health is really critical. Because if you're struggling mentally, then everything else can feel like a burden. And IDC is intense in that way, with all the deadlines, the projects, the expectations, the presentations, and it can get overwhelming. And obviously beyond IDC, there is sort of stuff that could be happening in your personal lives, which can lead to burnout, self-doubt, anxiety, or just feeling stuck and feeling depressed. And honestly, I've been there, and when you're mentally drained, it's really hard to figure things out. So basically, it gets hard to enjoy the process, and the process is what you spend most of your time on. So I would encourage you to take a moment to pause if you're feeling a certain way, and dealing with mental health can look differently for different people, but do reach out to your friends, a professor, or a professional. Because clarity in what you want to do at IDC can only come if you are in a good space mentally. So I would really encourage you to sort of take some time and deal carefully with your mental health, so you can then sort of pay attention to your work at IDC and figure things out. What truly matters to you in design and beyond? Because clarity can only come if you identify those things that really drive you. So you might feel strongly about social inclusion or accessibility or technology and innovation. Maybe you're really passionate about the scale of things and making a large impact, or maybe you are passionate about your own learning at this moment. So for me, it was thought leadership that really mattered to me, in the sense that I really liked the autonomy and the ownership of the work that we get to do at IDC. And I wanted to take those things forward in my practice as a designer to really bring my own perspective and my own vision as a designer in what I do. So if you are feeling stuck, take a moment to think about what really matters to you. And finally, learning from others. The fifth thing in figuring things out in IDC is just reaching out for guidance and talk to professors, engage with your seniors, talk to PhD students. Personally, like, reaching out to professors was really helpful for me. If you're ever feeling stuck, you can always go talk to a professor and they'll tell you so many things and really open up your thinking. Even like lab meetings are a chance to discuss with others, see how other people are tackling problems and see how that can apply to your own challenges. And seniors have been through the same journey as you, so talking to seniors is always helpful. PhD scholars make you realize how little you know about things, because you're even at the master's level just at the tip of the iceberg and there's so much to know. So I even have fond memories of the IDC book club, which have been some of the richest discussions I've been a part of. So definitely, if you're feeling stuck, the last thing I want to leave you with is just engage and exchange ideas with others. And yeah, just to recap, exploring as much as I could, being intentional and reflective, taking care of mental health, understanding your values and learning from others can help you if you're feeling stuck at IDC. And again, no one has it all figured out. I don't have it all figured out. College is about figuring things out. But I hope some of these things help you if you're feeling confused about what you want to do next. And yeah, I graduated last year, so these are very recent reflections, but I hope they help. And after graduating, I work at Google as a UX researcher. So thank you so much for listening. We can take questions now or maybe in the panel discussion later. If you have anything, ask away. Yeah.
So you said that you were interested in research and you got a chance to collaborate with PhD students as well, right? So when you were balancing that with sort of academic projects, is there also a reason you were intentional with a research project similar to what Ishita spoke about, like taking 2 research projects in a semester? Like, did you ever get a chance to do that, like balancing a research project with an academic semester project?
So research, the thing I've seen is when you do something at IDC and then if you want to publish it, there's a bit of a gap where you need to put in some extra time to really refine the work, really write up the work really well. As Ishita said, it takes a month or 2 to write a paper. So I was intentional in my 4th year. I took up a DRS with AJ sir and I was like, I'm going to write a paper for India at CI 2023, and I realized the scope of it was too large and I couldn't finish the paper. So then I was intentional about it again in my 5th year and I was like, I should take this up now that I have more time and take it up and complete it. So yeah, it was hard to balance research with regular IDC coursework because again the level of publication is quite high if you want to really write things up well. So sometimes things don't happen. I couldn't finish in time for the 2023 deadline. But then, you know, being intentional and deciding if you want to let it go or if you want to take it up again and really finish it. So again, these are all decisions. There's no right or wrong, but I think if you don't decide what you want to do with your time, IDC has many assignments to fill up your time. So that's why I kind of emphasized on being intentional about what you want to do. Yeah.
So would you say taking a dual degree was worth it? Like what made you choose it in the first place?
Okay, I knew I was gonna get this question. So, for dual degree, the pandemic happened when I was in my bachelor's degree in my 2nd year. So when I was in 3rd year and 4th year, I didn't really feel ready to graduate. I didn't feel like I had learned enough from what there was to learn from IDC, and in my 4th year, I really did not feel ready. And there were some professors I identified that I really wanted to work with, and dual degree sort of gives you those 3 extra projects, that extra time in IDC to really do what you want. There's some more clarity by the end of 4th year than at the end of 3rd year. I wanted to work with Girish sir, Swati ma'am and AJ sir even more. So that's why I decided to do my dual degree. I had the option of a semester exchange possibly open because there's 2 more semesters. I didn't end up going through with it, but I just wanted more time to explore. The thing with a job is like if you do continue doing a job, then there's several years you can do that, but there's only so many years in IDC that you can really be free and explore. And as I said, even if things don't go right, they still add to your toolkit. So I thought that extra year was something I needed, and I think it was really worth it. I don't regret doing it. 5 years is a lot. It can get tiring. Burnout happens. It's a very long time, semester after semester for 10 semesters. But I really think the dual degree helped me. So that's definitely something all of you should intentionally think about. And not doing one is totally okay. Just make an informed decision. Yeah.
How is the transition from academic research to corporate research?
There's a couple of things. With academic research, you sort of choose your own design problem. your own positioning about how you want to tackle that design question, that research question or problem and that space, and you can sort of take it in the direction you want. It's generally you, your collaborators, co-authors, and your guide. In the office setup, the thing is there are a lot more people who are involved in the decisions you take. So there's a lot more partners. These partners are not necessarily also designers or researchers. They have other roles, and there's a lot of collaboration that happens. So that's the first difference, the nature of the work actually being you and your guide versus you and your whole team at work. The second thing is the outcome, right? So a research paper outcome would be to sort of further some knowledge in some very specific space, which happens in the form of a research paper and then a presentation at a conference. With research in the corporate setup, the sort of outcomes expected out of research are different. It's obviously not a paper. It would be to inform other product decisions that the team has to take, and the outcome is for all of us as a team to build on something together and take that forward, versus in academic research it's more of like a paper, further the knowledge, identify another gap that is worth exploring and take that further. So those are the two large differences that I see.
But the nature of work remains like the same. Like the freedom we have in research, the art of research stays the same.
So the practice of the research and the quality of that practice really depends on where you're doing it. That's true for academic research and in a work setup also, but if you are in a very specialized role at work where you are doing high quality research, it can still kind of be comparable to academic research. Similarly, you might end up doing not so great academic research that doesn't end up getting published. So research methods and qualities are at the core the same, but again, it's like the means to doing it is the same, the ends, based on the ends, it sort of differs how you approach your research problem. Great, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Saloni, for that moving talk, especially the point about considering your mental health at all points during your time at IDC. Next up, we have Pratiti Sarkar.
So thank you Pooja and Krishna for the lovely introduction that was given for all of the speakers here. And to begin with, also I would like to thank AJ sir and IIT Bombay ACM Sikkai chapter for having us all here on this platform and giving us the opportunity to come back to campus, relive all the moments, get all the more nostalgic. So yeah, thank you so much. Thanks Abhishek, where is he? Thanks ma'am, you have coordinated so well, and I don't know how many times we have bugged with a number of questions and he has been very patient in answering all of those. So thanks again for keeping up to this level. And thanks to the lovely audience here for making it on a very lazy Saturday afternoon. I know most of you would have wished to stay back in hostel and relax probably, but yeah. So again, to begin with, I think I would first put up this question: how many in the audience have done PhD or are doing PhD? Shivam, you can raise your hand. Okay, great, because this is the question for the remaining of the audience now. Okay, so for the rest of you, what is the first thing that comes in your mind when you interact with a PhD student for the first time? Be very honest. No one is going to judge you here, at least here.
How can they do a same topic for
5 years?
years or 5 years straight? That's very
Like,
difficult.
how do you even decide what you can study for 5 whole years and keep doing over and over again without needing to pivot a lot?
Okay. Okay, I see a common question here. Any other questions you have in mind?
When I see a PhD scholar, I think this person is really brave to kind of venture alone on this journey of this single topic for 5 years.
Great. No, these are all good things you are talking about. Other things also might be coming to your mind, other apprehensions for sure.
Maybe a little nasty.
Yeah.
Like, are they doing enough work every day? Like, how do you not procrastinate when you have 5 years to do something?
Right. So yes, stepping into PhD, these were definitely some of the questions that in fact we questioned our own selves. And to finally take the call of why we should do PhD, why not do PhD, or why I am sure of doing this, and for the kind of tenure which even I am not aware of, how long it might stretch. So since you're saying 5 to interact with students from different departments, so definitely go ahead and bond with them also, because they get to give you perspectives which are very different from what you tend to gain from students of IDC. Because at times we do get limited with the kind of teachings and learnings that are happening in IDC, but when we get to interact with students from different departments, there we get the understanding of how things are being approached there, or maybe what kind of challenges and approaches those students are taking up, and if something can be imbibed in our cases as well. So a lot of wider perspective is something that you get to gain from when you get to interact with people from other departments. Beyond that, there are different, like the way both of them have already mentioned, there are different opportunities, conferences are there. You have a lot of workshops in the conferences to attend. So in my tenure of PhD, I was able to write almost about 9 to 10 research papers, which were published across different conferences and journals. And that gave me quite a good exposure to have a knowledge about what is happening elsewhere, what is happening not only domestically but also at the international level. And you get to interact and you get to network with all of those people and see how their aspect of research, aspect of having a different perspective to your area of research. So all of those things you get to know. And in terms of workshops also, you get to have so there are two ways of again doing it, either attending a workshop or trying to conduct a workshop of your own. So both of these approaches can be taken up. You can probably reach out to any of your supervisors or your guides and try and conduct a workshop in the conferences. Again, that helps you interact with different people with different mindsets and how they are coming up with the different set of approaches that the kind of problem area that you are targeting. So bring all of those in your set of platter. And again, like while I was here at IDC, I was part of the different organizing committees at different conferences. One of those being India HCI and Interaction Design Conference. I'm forgetting the name. It's been a while for me.
Is it interact?
IDC. Interaction Design for Children, that one. So I had been part of the organizing committees for those. Then again, you be the student volunteers for the different conferences. Again, like for me, I took the opportunity to get into the student volunteer position for different set of international conferences, one of those being UIST, ISMAR, which is for augmented reality technology, then IDC, which I just mentioned, then we had ICORD. Then there were certain conferences being organized by IDC itself inside the campus. So all of those again gives you a different exposure, like I mentioned. So apart from your daily routine work or the kind of projects that you are getting, you need to have an exposure out of the set of, the cocoon that you have set around yourself with the defined work or the defined projects. And don't keep yourself limited to the portfolios, I would suggest. this is a great platform and great opportunity for you while you are at IDC to get the utmost exposure. So apart from that, I think for me, research was just not limited to working around my area of projects and just conducting the kind of studies that I was planning for. Of course, that already involved a lot of research planning going throughout, but I also took help from people in my department, people in PhD, people from PhD, people from masters. So all of these students were there to help me throughout while conducting the different researches. So they also, in a way, got to have an understanding of how research is being conducted, like especially for the master's students. When they were part of my studies, while I was conducting it, they also got an exposure of how the research or the setup is supposed to be happening. Then again, for the workshops and all, there were a few of the students who were trying to help me out in placing the entire thing, in placing the entire setup and conducting those workshops. So all of these are the ways I would suggest for you people to have an exposure about and try and experiment around these. So just don't keep yourself limited to what you are currently doing or what kind of courses and guidelines have been set for you. Apart from that, coming back to research writing, which already again Sir Lori and Ishita both have reflected upon. Research writing is also again something comes out of passion, trust me. Because I have seen people struggling in writing papers also because they were not really passionate about writing those. So just don't get influenced with what others are, if any of your other colleagues are getting into doing research, that is something that you would also want to do. Don't get into doing that. Only if you see out of passion that you are able to write a research paper, please go ahead doing it, because it comes only out of your entire passion and intent if you really want to go ahead doing it. Because research paper else a lot of struggle goes into writing and structuring and understanding how things are supposed to be written in a research paper. And I think while working with Aegis, that's the utmost stories that I've heard. I haven't personally worked with him, but he grills you down pretty well while writing research papers, that I'm pretty sure about. So yeah, I think grilling is something that you should also experience in the course of time that you are spending here at IDC. And like the way already I think one of them mentioned, it's quite essential that you keep documenting all of your projects, all of your work that you are doing, rather than keeping it for the very end minute. That also helped me in my period of PhD research here. So whenever I was conducting any study, I would immediately document it in the form of a research paper and try to publish it in one of the conferences and have an understanding of how the approach is being taken at a national or an international platform. So that again gave me much of the understanding, much of the lead towards how my research approach is going ahead. And throughout my tenure of PhD, a lot of motivation triggers had to be there. You have to be surrounded with some happy thoughts throughout, because it gets very depressing at times. You are working all by yourself and your friends working in a completely different zone. You want to hang out, but your friends are not available at the same time, so you don't know what to do. So all of those lone times are there, but you have to be surrounded, or you try to occupy yourself with happy thoughts and stay active in the whole process, because again, like some of you are, I think, here away from home, I believe, and in isolation. So try to stay active, not just keep yourself restrained to your hostel rooms. Go around, go interact with people, sit in the dining spaces of your respective hostels, interact with people. Trust me, you get to learn a lot when you speak with different people from different departments. And consistency is another main key to your success. So if you are consistent with whatever you are working upon, that is something that is going to help you throughout. And regular discussions with your supervisor, that's the most required thing. So whenever it's your submission time, please don't go at the very last minute to discuss with your supervisor. Try to keep your supervisor in loop throughout. That is one of the key suggestions that I can give at this moment of time. And yeah, I think most of it is that there is no end to opportunities of any kind, and IDC or IIT Bombay as whole has plenty of opportunities available for all of us to grow here. And the kind of time that you are spending here, take the utmost advantage of it. And apart from that, your work is something that is you are at any point of time going to be very proud of. So just have the faith in you, and I think that is something that can, of course, like help you pull through and give you the best moments at IDC, and maybe that will give you the moment to again step here and stand here like the way we are standing here today. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Any questions?
How did you choose your PhD topic? And you choose the papers that you're going to write during your PhD. Before you started, or during you started, or is it more like ad hoc decisions?
Okay, so I'll tell you by my experience, so what I used to do. So in terms of choosing my research topic itself, so my research area was around augmented reality technology in the field of classroom education. So I wanted to come up with a framework for doing such an activity in the classroom setup. So for me, I was quite passionate about this technology in itself, because this was something that were the booming, words that were heard at when I started my PhD. And so I was quite intrigued into investigating the approach of augmented reality technology itself, and education was another field that I was quite interested in. So how design strategies can be formulated around that was something that I was really looking forward to. So again, like my passion for these two areas to explore was something that I wanted to go ahead with. So that was the key reason for me to pick up this topic area. And apart from that, about writing the research papers, so I would like take an estimate of what all research papers are, or what is the timeline that is going to be followed in a particular year, which all conferences are going to host at which time period. So I would prefer to, 2 months before that, I would try to finish conducting a research study and do the analysis of it, so that at least I have 2 months or 1 month's time to document all of that research properly and publish, send it for the conference evaluation. So yeah, this was majorly my approach of writing research paper while I was doing the studies. Yeah, you have to, because they do give you the conference themes, and while you are submitting your research paper, you have to choose from which theme it is aligning with. So in that case, you have to first shortlist like which all conferences you think your work is going to align with. Any other question?
Can you tell us more about research papers? Like how does it start? How do you take it up to a beginner?
To begin with, okay. I think I can easily go back to the time when I was writing my first research paper. I was also a master's student back then, when I was trying to start writing my research paper. So I don't know, somehow before that I had read quite a few research papers. Not even if not in depth, I had tried to understand how the entire structuring of the research paper is happening. Right? There is some abstract part, some introduction part, then there are certain other aspects to write through. So firstly, you need to have an understanding of the entire structure that goes in. Then while you have conducted or what kind of study or what kind of area you are working upon, what methodology are you following in that needs to be documented well in details. I think that part you enjoy the most, because that is something that you have put your mind through very well before you conduct your research. So while you are documenting it in your research paper, that's the first thing that you really tend to write about the methodology that you follow to do your conduct your research. And post that, I think, yeah, with time, then you, the part that you most struggle with is definitely the results and the discussion aspect, because that's where you put forth your entire work. You strongly argument like why this work tends to stand out, or why this work is supposed to be added into the knowledge repository. So this is majorly how you plan to do the writing part of the research paper. Rest, I think professors will definitely guide you way better.
You're among the very few who did a PhD went into industry, right?
Yeah.
And what has been your experience? And does the PhD work that you did in some way help you with the work that you do currently?
Okay, so the topic area wise, definitely there have been diversions with what I'm doing currently, but what approaches I have taken up in PhD, or how the research is being done, how design decisions are happening, how design strategies are being built up, all of those are getting implemented while I'm working in the corporate setup. And all of this is now helping me get into more of the corporate training aspects, conducting workshops. So recently, back in a year's time, I have been conducting workshops at this was a collaboration of IIT Delhi and Voxago. So a workshop was conducted around that. I conducted a workshop at NDTV. Then another workshop I'll be conducting next week at one of the UX design conferences. So yeah, this is like all of these mentorship and workshop trainings are again coming into play with whatever approaches of conducting research has been adopted here at while I was doing my PhD. So yeah, imbibing all of those in the corporate setup is actually helping me now. But yes, there are different challenges, like already Saloni mentioned, that there is the pace with which we work here at academia. We have ample of time to think through and work through, which we really do not get in the corporate setup. So that becomes quite of a challenging aspect. But again, since we have already learned quite a few methodologies to work upon, and by that time we do have the understanding of what is going to be more effective in the corporate setup, I think that kind of helps up when it comes to doing the UX research sprints at corporate. Dual degree or?
Like master's, bachelor's and PhD and then going to postgrad would be the better way to go about it.
Okay, so I have taken the first track, which is bachelor's, master's, then PhD and then industry. People do take bachelor's or master's, then do some part of the industry area and then get to PhD. There are struggles for both, trust me. When it comes to just in the academia setup and then going to industry, those have their own challenges to step into industry. And of course, the kind of exposure that you get in industry as compared to that in academia, those become quite challenging comparatively. So both what we learn here and what we apply there ends up, differing to quite an extent. The second approach, again, for those who have had the industry experience and then they step into PhD, there are again pros and cons for those. Some of the pros being that they do have certain exposure. They know, they have worked upon certain area of their interest beforehand, and they are they come with the mindset that this is the thing that they want to, kind of target or kind of work around, where they have already interacted with quite a few people around and they have an understanding of that. But then again, that again brings in a lot of challenges to it itself, monetary being one of those. That difference comes up. Then again, like by that time you have your personal responsibilities always coming up, so certain kind of situations come in place. So again, it's completely entirely your decision. if you can chart down like 5 or 10 years down the line, how do you see yourself being, in the industry or being in the academia, along with your personal aspects? That has to be kept in mind while you are taking that decision.
Any more questions?
I think I learned over the period of time. I won't say like I was sure right in the beginning. It never happened that way. I always explored while I was growing. So while I was doing bachelor's, I did it in computer science engineering, and I did it from IIIT Delhi. So there itself, like I was like coding is fine, but creative aspect is something that I'm not able to explore much, which I was pretty keen in. So that made me, explore what all design opportunities can be there. So I ended up coming across the SEED exam, which I gave and I got through, and I got into ID Kanpur at that point of time. So there, again, in my MDes project itself, I had started exploring augmented reality technology. So that again gave me the motivation, why not take it forward and see what all I can do around it, because 1 year's time of exploring your thesis project was just not, I didn't find it enough or satisfying enough to, finish it there itself. I wanted to explore it further. So that's what gave me the motivation to take a PhD and to, finally give it some kind of a structure. So yeah, I think that was my approach towards it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pratiti, for joining us today, for starters, and sharing such valuable insights and perspectives on academia. So next, and the last speaker for this segment is Karan Rajesh Kumar Tanna.
For people for COVID, and what are the challenges I faced during the entire project, and rebuild this project again, and we will try to sort of improve it and make it more refined, and then we spent like 2-3 weeks refining the prototype, and then we applied for Java Virtual, and we finally got shortlisted for the project. So this is from that project. So yeah. Questions?
I have a question. When you were talking about the project for cerebral palsy, so I was doing a project in physical ergonomics for flat footed. So I don't have a flat footed. So how can I close the gap between for the user I'm making and because how do I relate it? How closer can I get to the user?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I don't have a very good answer for that, but you can never empathize with the user 100%. But you have to iterate your designs and give it to the users, and then there is a good feedback. And that's how you improve your design. You can't have it in one go. Like you can't go and ask the user what problem is, because they also won't know. Unless you make something, give it to the user, and they try it, then only you will realize what are the problems. Console area, they are putting more pressure on. Like all any children connected with cerebral palsy, and they can connect to a laptop or any device, and then they can conduct their physiotherapy with the device. So all the exercises are attached in the console itself. So yeah, I will start. So during my time at IDC, I used to take part in PWC. I took sort of active participation in PWC, and by engaging with people around me and sort of engaging with the real life problem, I got this. I got understanding that all these problems exist in the world, and there are a lot of people who are knowingly or unknowingly suffer to those minor issues. Like even though we have advanced in the technology, so the physiotherapy framework are still the same. Like we still use same old physiotherapy methods. We don't have any monitoring, progress monitoring stuff for the physiotherapy, and all this sort of hampers the growth and the kind of evolution that should have happened is not happening. So yeah, so coming to the cerebral palsy, it affects, it hampers, it happens in early childhood, and it affects the brain, and it sort of affects the motor function, due to that, a lot of other problems occur. And my question throughout the project was, how can I leverage innovative methods to improve the outcome of physiotherapy? I can't solve it completely, but I can make it still better. So this is the space of the cerebral palsy, and they have various muscle tones. Like your muscles become tight and loosen according to the condition you have, and there are various areas according to which they name the conditions. So yeah. So physiotherapy has one primary effect, that is motor control and balance, but due to which there are other secondary and tertiary impacts that affect their social life and also other aspects of their lives. So these are the gaps that I observed through the research. I haven't talked about the research or later. You can go to the report and I will put the link and read about it. So these are the 6 key aspects. One is that there is no progress monitoring, so there is no evidence that you have improved. Also, due to lack of the social aspect, they feel socially isolated. There is lack of the life of the child and the content of physiotherapy. Like, why can't we make physiotherapy and tie it with something that child likes to do? A lot of these innovative tools and modern tools are very expensive, and each clinic visit costs around 500 rupees for the parents. So parents also lose motivation after 2 or 3 years, and they just let it be. Like they don't give much care to the child, and then the whole purpose gets defeated. So yeah. So these were the few initial ideas. I came up with few ideas for the exogaming, how can I make it more interactive. I went to the expert and sort of asked them to evaluate those ideas and rank those ideas. I went to 3 experts and they have sort of checked my prototypes and then sort of gave the ranking on that. So yeah, this was the part of my initial pilot test. So I quickly made a low fidelity prototype of to processing and connect to Arduino and make a very primitive game for testing out the entire setup. So yeah, there were a lot of challenges like the weight, like when the degree of problem is different for each person. So you can't have one size fits for all. So there has to be some amount of customization available for the user as well. So all those insights I got from the test, and you have to keep iterating throughout your design, and you have to come up with better and better solutions. So if you see the first version, I had 7 holes for the game, and they were too close. So in the last one, I only had 3, but they were very apart. So even bigger knob can fit inside the hole. And the first UI and last UI were very different. So yeah, this is the final device that I made. There were 4 games. Each had different kind of function and actions. And this is how finally looks. And I tried to make it a very refined and very potent product. And in that process, I designed the entire ecosystem around it. So I also built a website for the same. So yeah, these are the features of the device, and you can see it in the prototype in the QR code given. So I will talk about what to do and what not to do in the project. First of all is how to find a problem to solve, how to engage yourself to the entire project, because the theme that you choose has to drive you, and it has to interest you. Otherwise, you will see other people doing something and you will try to imitate their work and sort of do the same thing again and again. And you will make some, yeah. So tangible interaction is very sort of, let's say, intimidating. But once you learn how to navigate through it, it's very fun and very engaging. Like you have a lot to work on, and you keep getting more engaged. It's not like you will make a screen and that's it for now. There's still scope to improve more and more. So yeah, if you see the picture on right, the yellow one, that was my project 4 days before jury. The entire casing all was gone, and I messaged Fatima that I'm not going to give jury. I won't be able to make it again. And I had to sort of stay in IDC for like 3 entire days, day and night, and I remade the entire casing again. I had to change the materials, I had to change the sizing of the screws and everything from the scratch. And then I just kept doing it until it happened. Also, in the first pilot, if you see, I used processing, but when I came to make a heavier version of the UI, this one, it sort of didn't work with the processing. So how do I take the challenge of executing that? So I got an idea where I used Sigma variables and generated crystals using Arduino. So I sort of got it married and sort of connected both so that I can use Sigma side by side and also use my prototype. So I sort of found the hack just 2 days before the jury. So yeah, that's it about the project. Another project I want to talk about that made me learn lot of things. That is, I was into a diploma program. This is to talk about how to navigate yourself in a fast-paced environment like IDC has. IDC has modules, weekly modules. Similar things we have in the 21-week diploma program. So each week we have to learn a new thing, a new skill. So 1 week you learn project management, second week you learn about how to make PCBs, third week you learn about how to make codes. So all those things were very fast and you have to cope up with a lot of things. So my professor told me one thing, that work in spirals. So once you do your work, spend 50% of the time doing 80% of the work. Finish, get done with the work, uh, whether it's good or bad, just do it, and then revisit the work again and again until you get satisfied with your work. That's how we used to do it. So if I had to finish my assignment in 1 week, I will finish my assignment in 4 days, and remaining 2 days I will spend it refining, and that's how at the end of 7 days I will have a very refined project. Otherwise, what people usually do, they think they have 7 days, and then they try to do linear work. And in that process, if something goes wrong, the entire project gets sacrificed. So that's what I learned in the course. So yeah, this is the course list we have. So every week we have to learn a new skill. So also one of the most I talked about how revisiting the work is important because it will you might not have been able to do good work that time, but later on this is your work. So one example is where we finished our course in September for design for VR, and we didn't have much, we didn't have a good prototype, but so we usually have calls with the client, and we sort of try to engage with the client on daily basis.
Thank you. Yeah. What was your day?
So I think the work day, to be specific, it starts with opening the mail with the set of meetings decided for the day, and those are typically with the product managers, with the tech teams. So all of us coming on board and having a discussion about what could be a newer approach to a certain kind of a problem identified, or what's the progress in the kind of task identified, and what could be the different kind of probably the roadmap for the coming few days or few months down the line. So precisely, I think this is what has been happening over the period of time, and more of the day, it's like apart from these all kind of formulated things. Beyond that, it becomes more about how having kind of interactions with the peers as well as your senior colleagues, because again, not being limited to the kind of learnings that I have imbibed, but also trying to learn from what others have been doing and what they have been exploring. So yeah, those kind of conversations I have, keeping that at a regular pace, because you have to be at par at with whatever is coming new, especially AI coming into existence. So of course that is quite of a questionable thing nowadays, and kind of thing that we need to imbibe in our work atmosphere as well. So I think those of exploration around that is being happening in the meanwhile.
Alright, so I work at a fintech firm in Hyderabad, DE Shaw. So my day kind of starts at a very flexible pace, so we can clock in at 11, it doesn't really matter. But the kind of work that we do is that we usually talk to traders, not very often, but yeah, we do get a chance to talk to traders. We talk to product managers, we talk to business unit heads, we talk to developers, and we talk to financial analysts. So you have information coming from all directions towards you regarding the requirements that a trader might have. For example, if they want to monitor certain securities or apply a certain strategy that they've thought of. They want a workflow that suits their requirements, and they want a way that they can execute it, which means that designers have to step in, figure out the most optimal way of doing this, and provide an interface that matches the company's design system. So throughout the day, you end up taking a lot of calls, you end up working on Figma, creating these prototypes, you work on brainstorming, you work on ideations, and just ensuring that the requirement that you've gotten, you've interpreted very accurately. Because oftentimes what happens is you end up going in cycles because you aren't able to talk to the end user very frequently, you have to interpret the requirements you're getting from, let's say, a product manager. And then if you've misunderstood it along the way, it becomes very complex, and a lot of repetition or repetitive designing ends up happening. So that is one aspect that I did want to mention. One thing that IDC really teaches you over here is the entire design process that you end up following. So since you are doing an end-to-end project, you're getting a requirement, a need that users have. You start by figuring out the problem statement. You then dissect it, figure out where the gaps are. Then you ideate on what solutions you can probably create for this, how you can visualize that, how you can put that in a computer screen or a laptop screen, how it would look based on what interface they're using. And then you have user testing, which is crucially important, which you conduct with the users. You have demo sessions with them, they give you their feedback, they tell you that maybe this workflow is not suitable for me, and then you go back and reiterate. So this cycle keeps going on and on. And IDC teaches you that very well. But another aspect that comes in once you start working in corporate is the business aspect. You have now understood what the user needs, but do you know what the business needs from a bird's eye view perhaps? So you kind of take a step back and you also think about how much profit am I bringing to the firm, how much how this would fit in the bigger world of things, how it fits in all the other tools that they're using. Do these workflows make sense when they're context switching from one app to the other? And that's a very interesting aspect that I did not consider before, but that's what we work with.
So I'm a UX researcher. When it comes to a day in the life, I do work with a lot of other folks. They're not researchers though. So I work with designers, product managers, and also developers. And then being the only researcher, I feel like I get a chance to talk to end users way more than these other folks. And a huge part of my work is making sure that all the unknowns that the other folks have, I'm the way that they get to talk to the user, they get to meet the user, find out from the user how our product sort of fits into their life. So with research, my role has both foundational aspects, which sort of informs future planning and strategy, as well as tactical aspects, which is like, okay, we know what to build, what are those exact things we need to know from our users in order to go ahead and build those things. And it's not just research studies. In a corporate setting, there are many more other research activities that happen. It could be like a UX workshop where everyone is invited, or events where we bring users into the workplace so everyone can come along and talk to the user. So a part of it is also like thinking of research as a process and how can we scale it so that everyone else also can be brought along for the journey. So most of the day in the life is like thinking, talking to these partners, understanding what we can do next, how research can help, and sort of being the representation for the user, because everyone else does not interact with them as directly as I get to. So kind of telling them what the users are saying and constantly reminding them what the users are saying.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, my second question, okay, and we'll do the same thing now in the opposite direction, can you try to think of, and we'll try to do this like the rapid fire thing that we just did, okay, 1 minute each. Can you try to think of maybe 2 things this time that you wish you did or executed when you were here in IDC? Like, what is it that you missed out on? The FOMO kya tha? Okay. So whenever Solode is ready. I didn't tell all these questions to these people, okay, so they're just thinking on this.
Something I think I did not try enough was prototyping and being in the studios. I think the pandemic did have a role to play where after the first year, my second year was at home. So kind of when I came back, I did not give enough attention and time to the studios here at IDC. I feel like I don't have a lot of physical prototyping skills, and I wish I would have tried, because the studios are so open, you can just go in and do things and build things. And Karan's work was very exciting and interesting. Nothing I could ever try to put together, I wouldn't know what to do. So that's the first thing. The second thing would probably be doing something at the institute level, I don't think I ever represented like IIT or went to inter-IIT or things like that. A bit away from design, but I think I spent a lot of time in design, which is why I did not do these other things, and that would have been a good experience, I think.
I think the focus of my talk was on trying everything. So I was mostly true to that, but definitely, like Saloni said, I did not experiment with Arduinos or product design, which I wish I had done in a little bit more detail. Maybe just having the knowledge of how to build certain things, or maybe taking the course that you did, that was really cool. That was one thing. And the second is spending enough time in the classroom. So since we were the pandemic batch, I don't think we valued our classroom as much, because we would just work from our hostel or just come for the classes and then go back. But in fourth year, when we finally got a classroom in Rahul Bajaj building, and I started research paper writing, I think I just spent nights till 5 a.m. in that classroom, and I really valued the projector that we had over there, the environment of everyone working together, and just sitting, talking, chatting, and then doing your own work, because that environment of having people along with you while you work is extremely crucial, which I feel like I missed out on because of the pandemic. But yes, please spend more time in your classroom, it's fun.
I think for me, I kept myself a bit restricted to my research area itself, and there were quite a lot of things happening in IDC in terms of the different workshops being offered to students, and that was quite open for any of the student batches to attend at times. So I missed out on those, and I really feel that could have helped me maybe try something other than what I was doing in general. That was one part. And the other part which I missed out on, of course, due to the pandemic, was we had the opportunity, like PhD students.
I didn't use the infrastructure that I have in IT, like swimming and all. Like I could have explored those areas as well. And yeah, that's all.
Only one. Okay. Okay, so my last question before I will open up for audience. So now audience are thinking about questions. But is not very different from the first and the second question combined, but it's in a different format. Okay, so the format, and so the good thing is that we have actually representation of 4 different kinds of students in IDC. So we have an MDes student, we have a PhD student, we have a BDes only student, and we have a BDes plus dual degree student. So we have 4 different kinds of students here. Okay. So now imagine that you are a first year student, and Saloni, imagine also that you are a first year student who is going to go and do dual degree eventually, which you may not know in the beginning. And so, like, imagine yourself basically when you joined IDC, the day you joined IDC. What is the one thing that you wish to tell that person? Okay, on the day you come here, like, do this one thing, or 2 things, or 3 things, or whatever it is that you might want to say. Okay, here it is. Whenever you are ready.
So if I join as a first year again, I would tell myself try everything that you can, because this 2 years time is very less to explore this place. Like IDC has a lot to offer in terms of academics, in terms of culture, and in terms of infrastructure. As a whole. So yeah, 2 years is less time, and I should have spent more time doing more things. So yeah.
Yeah, I think for the first year student, since first year PhD student, okay. First year PhD student, of course, they come with a mindset that this is the only area of work that they need to work upon. Just don't keep yourself restricted to that. There are various opportunities open. You just have to keep an eye for it and just grab those opportunities, because this is the only time period when you get to do that. But also don't get distracted with all of those things only. Do keep your work also in mind. That is the prime thing or the utmost thing that you need to achieve. But keep an eye for the other opportunities as well.
I actually have 3 things that I would probably tell my first year self. One is document everything. Second is spend some time talking to all the professors. I feel like I waited for too long, or just waited for the courses that would happen to engage in conversation or learn what they have to teach or all the knowledge that they have. But if I had probably gone out of my way to just understand what they teach, what they do, all the projects under them, I feel like I would have a better idea of what I could have learned at IDC if I had the chance to do it again. And I think the third one is just read webmail. Please don't miss out on mails. You will forget to register for courses. You will forget that some courses have deadlines. You will actually figure out that there's so many things you can do. This one time there was a mail about applying for a internship at Caltech for visual design for their Mars rover team, and that was on our webmail. We had a collaboration for EDC, Emergency Design Council, in our second year, if I'm not wrong, where we collaborated with NID students and RISD students from Rhode Island School of Design. Opportunities on webmail right there, just require filtering and viewing it every day. Please don't miss out on doing that.
I would tell my first year self to pace myself, because 5 years is a long time in dual degree and there are going to be ups and downs, and to just take it easy, just take it as it comes and just pace myself basically.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the nice responses. I can see that Sharad has got his battery back. So now we have all of this captured on video also. So this is now the floor is open for questions, and I will run around the room with the mic. So just raise your hand. I'll go on one side, and then somebody has asked questions on one side, then after some time we'll go on the other side also. Okay, so whoever wants to go first. First question is always the slowest in the audience, but it will eventually come if you wait for long enough. Yes, I know that. Thank you.
So AJ sir asked you about your usual day when in your company, like today, right? Like these days, what your usual day is. I would like to ask what your usual day was when you were a student.
Okay. Take the mic back. You want anybody particular to answer, or whoever wants to?
My days at IDC started in the afternoons because I'm very much a night person, so I'd wake up in the afternoon, get to IDC and usually spend some time working here, because in the 4th and 5th years it is just you and your projects. So if you don't get out of your room, you can just end up in a slump. So to try to come to IDC, meet sir for lab meetings or my guide, work here for some time, or sometimes pretty much through the night, because that's sort of how I preferred working in the night. And yeah, I used to try to watch the sunset every night, every evening at the lakeside. So it was like afternoon work, sunset, and then work through the night when my mind was the most active. So yeah.
I think I had a different day every year of my experience at IDC, but I think my last year is probably the most recent. So that was getting up in the afternoon, like Saloni said. I don't think it's possible in IDC to wake up early in the morning if you're a student and you have a social life. So yeah, we used to get up in the afternoon, and then if I have any recall sessions I have to do for the research studies, then I would run around to all the different hostels, meet the security guards and the mess workers, and run the recalls and the interviews with them. And then I would run to IDC, meet AJ sir, and then run back for the interviews, and then finish those up, and then maybe hang out with a few friends, and then come back to IDC late at night to continue working on it.
I've been a complete opposite of them. I am a morning person. I've been always like that. So I would start my morning by 5 or 6, and then go on. And until date, it's like that only for me. Go out for some physical activity. We have so many so I was putting up in hostel 11. Right in front we had the whole field open to us. So there were yoga sessions happening in the morning. Pata bhi nahi hoga, I think most of you must not be aware of it. Yeah, so yoga sessions happening. There were swimming classes happening. Whatever classes came early in the morning, I would take that up, get done with that by 9 or something. I would finish having breakfast and all, and then come to IDC by 9:30. Start my day by 5:30 when we know snacks are going. Like there is some interesting snacks in the hostel. We'll pack up and go to grab that. Yeah, I think typically the day like in IDC. At that point of time, we made sure that we are working rigorously here, and I am working rigorously here in the classroom where we were putting up. And in between, I would go have interactions with my guide, Professor Jayesh Pillai, just to keep on track whether things are working fine or not. If some updates have to be there, I always try to keep him in loop with whatever I was progressing ahead with and whatever I was working upon. So that happened, and of course we again had some chit chat with RAs who were around, sitting around us. So that thing happened, and post 5:30, I think my brain would shut mostly because again being a morning person. So post that, just again spend out some time with the set of maybe activities that are being offered around. Go out or stroll around in the campus. So I always kept interacting with people from other departments, like I mentioned. So education technology friends, MEMS friends, they were there. So I would go talk around with them, spend my time there a bit. And I think by okay, don't give me again reactions. By 11:30, that was my max time. I would doze off. Yeah. So and till date, I've been following this kind of practice itself. My work timings have always been from Mondays to Fridays. Saturdays is completely fun time for me. No work at all till date, and no work on Saturdays. Sunday evening onwards, I would start preparing for my Monday schedule. So that has been my days at IDC.
My usual day during the projects used to be like I used to wake up at 9:30. I used to go to gym for an hour, and then I will take a shower and go to eat, and then I will prepare myself and gather material if I have to buy some module or if I have to buy some Arduino circuits and all those materials. So I will go buy, and then if I have to meet my guy, I will go around 4:30, and then I will start. I usually start working at night. I will be in the studio at night mostly. I used to work last day. I used to work almost all night in the studio. So yeah, that used to be the schedule.
Okay, any other questions? Are there any other questions? I went on this side, so yeah, I knew on this side, this time. Okay.
Hi, can you hear? So, in my experience as a student at IDC, I faced creative burnout sometimes. So, I had two questions. Do you face that in your careers, jobs, wherever you work? And how do you cope with that? How did you cope with that in IDC? And how do you cope with that there?
I think whenever such burnouts are happening, just shut down everything. Take a break. There is no harm in taking break. No one is, you are not answerable to anyone on that. Just take a break for a day or more time if you need, just to get a fresh perspective. That always helps. So whenever you are getting stuck in certain kind of an approach, just take a step back, go around, move around, take your time, have some good meals, and definitely you will be back on track. That's what I have learned in my experience.
For me, things that have worked when I had burnout, I used to often go to the beach. I'm a beach person, in terms. So sit on the beach for an hour or so, and take a fresh air, listen to the music, chill, sit with friends, and start doing the work slowly, and you will be on track about in few days. Yeah.
Creative burnout is extremely real, and you will face it in IDC, you will face it in corporate. I think I made a system for myself where I was trying to avoid creative burnout by having a reward system for myself. So, obviously, you're not at your 100% every single day. So, I would assign myself a list of items that I want to complete or that I think I should do today. And if someday I'm not able to do that, that's okay, I'll just move it to the next day. But I know that I was not at my 100%, I could only give 50, so that's what I gave. But I did the task that I assigned myself for this day. And that would be the task you complete, and then a reward that I would get. So, for example, if I completed 6 user recall sessions, I could probably go out for dinner with my friends. It's just a mental thing. I can still do that, but just for my own, just to be able to do it.
I faced more creative burnout in college than I do at work. And what I did when I felt burnt out was usually go on walks. I really like that about campus. You can just take a walk whenever you want for however long you want, which you don't generally in cities. And something Girish sir actually made me realize is that disconnection from your work in IDC is a lot harder. Because like if you're doing a project, you're constantly thinking about it, you're doing it for a long period of time. So I think in the work like industry setup, disconnection is a lot more formalized and a lot more easier. You do your work and then you do get your time off, and that helps with not having burnout. And with IDC, I wish I took more breaks actually, but yeah, I'm realizing that now at work when there's like a more structured system versus in IDC where you're in complete control of your own time.
Okay, thank you. Any last question? If anybody has? Yeah, okay.
So this question is for Saloni. Why did you not take any POR or inter-IT such things? Because there are a lot of people trying to get you into that, and saying no to them is usually difficult and they keep persisting. So what was the case on your side? And if other people also did the same thing?
Yeah.
I did do PORs. In my second and third year, I was interested to work with Insight. I was a lot into visuals, so I designed a lot of newsletters for them. But I think after a point, you need to prioritize what it is you want to spend your time on. Like I think if I did something like inter-IT, probably the research paper wouldn't have happened because a lot of extra time went into the paper, which would have gone into inter-IT. I mean, all these things are rewarding. It just depends on what you want to prioritize and balance. Other than that, in PORs, the way it is in the institute, I feel like simply because BTech people are more into it, that sometimes the design PORs are like sidelined. And if you're in that system and you want to make an impact, it's harder. So I thought it wouldn't make sense to do like design PORs where there is this fixed system and I can only do this certain aspect of the work, not do other aspects of the work because of how they've set it up. So that was that. But the ones I did do were fine. I mean, I met more people. I learned how to manage a team of second year students when I was in my third year. It was very interesting, lot of ups and downs there. People weren't working, people were losing interest. So that was also interesting because again in IDC you're mostly doing things on your own or within your group of designers. So in institute PORs you're doing work with a lot of other people. So you meet interesting people, you learn how to work with them. So yeah.
I think just adding on to that, if you don't want to do a POR, please don't do it. You can interact with BTech friends or any other department friends without a POR also. Please go make friends from different departments as well. That's Totally okay. And there's so many events that the institute has. That's where you can engage with these people. You can talk to them, and they have so much to offer, so much to talk about, and a lot of interesting topics that you can discuss. So don't worry about yours.
Okay. So thank you very much. I think we may have more questions, but we can have them. Are there still going to be more snacks, or this was it? There is more snacks. Okay. So we are going to have more snacks, but I think Pooja has some very important things to do. So.
Thank you so much, AJ sir, for leading such a great discussion. We learned not just about your remarkable projects, but also so many insights about what goes on in academia and industry. But now, sorry sir, you cannot get to sit at the moment. But I'd like to request AJ sir again to honor our incredible speakers for joining us today and present them with a token of appreciation. So please put a huge round of applause for the class of 2024's award recipients.
I don't know what.
Can someone please click a photo of this? Thank you. And well, your work has set a really high bar for all of us, and we are really lucky to learn from it. So with this, we wrap up the 63rd IIT Bombay ECM Sekai chapter event. A huge thank you to all of you in the audience for joining us today. These events are as valuable as the conversations they spark, and we hope today's talk and discussions has inspired new ideas, questions, and maybe even your future DRS project. So, well, as now I'll move on to what we promised. The snacks are here outside. Stick around and please chat with our speakers as well. Enjoy the refreshments. And also please remember, every month we have these events. So we hope to see you next time as well. Thank you.
Thank you.